On the day before Thanksgiving 2023, I ventured back out to see the Nashville and Eastern Railroad, spotting a pack of 4 GE-8s coming around the curve in Martha, Tennessee. RJ Corman's red and silver colors are slowly beginning to infiltrate the railroad as the fleet of GE locomotives rapidly see repainting. The Nashville and Eastern is a regional Class 3 short line, founded in the year 1986 when CSX sold off its former Lebanon branch to the newly formed short line. For years, the railroad was owned and operated by the Nashville and Eastern Rail Authority, until late 2018 when RJ Corman announced it would be taking over the N&E starting in January of 2019. For the past 5 years, many rail fans have speculated when the engines would be repainted, and in the closing months of 2023, the sand in the hourglass fell to the bottom, as the unique look of the Nashville and Eastern evolved into RJ Corman red and silver. It's an uncommon sight to find a 4-pack of GEs working together on the Nashville and Eastern, making for an interesting day trackside as the former Santa Fe wide cab leads NE04 through Mount Juliet and Donaldson. Dispatch would momentarily hold the train at West Donaldson, allowing us the chance to comfortably move over and set up at milepost 7.3 on the other side of town. In Nashville, the Vine Hill job, simple NEO2, quickly shuffles cars around at the yard to make room for NEO4 coming in. The morning was all sorts of organized chaos for the crew, with each quickly adjusting to the last-minute audibles to keep the railroad moving. Once headroom was made, NEO4 could slowly proceed into the yard as they roll past Southern Junction. Track maintenance around the railroad resulted in some awfully lopsided crew schedules, forcing the crew of NEO4 to pick up the work of NEO3, with NEO3's crew standing by to take over the train in Nashville. Yeah, confusing. The Old Hickory crew would continue to build their train in the yard before relinquishing control to NEO3 to take back east to Lebanon. Fresh RJ Corman paint continued to roll off the line as it expanded its reach across the short line, with more and more units reappearing in a dazzling coat of fresh paint. While it's unfortunate to watch this little railroad fold to corporate monotony, there's no denying the clean, uniform look is a good suit for the railroad's Dash 8s. At the time of recording this in November, the Nashville and Eastern's famous Green Bean had just 10 days left before its repainting, truly marking the end of the original Nashville and Eastern. Built in the year 1888, the Omohundro water treatment plant is a staple shot along the N&E. The scene is complete with this impressive trestle bridge, part of CSX's Radnor Cutoff. The location provides a spectacular view, as NEO3 raises all sorts of hell going by the facility. At Stones River Yard, things got back to normal on the railroad, with NEO4 splitting away from NEO3, ready to take their short train up to Old Hickory. As they readied their train, so did NEO3, as they quickly jet off towards Lebanon, Tennessee with a healthy-sized train in tow. A few golfers hit the greenway, as the pair of wide cabs lead NEO 4 into Old Hickory. Back in Martha, 8531 leads NEO 3 up the Kenwall lead track to drop off some empty coils for the customer. With the cars now placed in the siding, the crew uses the runaround track to grab their train sitting on the main. The crew would be forced to sit at Kenwall for nearly an hour, as WeGo's evening commuter trains came into play. At CP Martha, the first train appears as MCS 156 approaches its station stop. There aren't many places left in the world where you can still see Pullman bilevels being push-pulled by an EMD F40PH. A true hidden gem amongst the railroad scene here in Middle Tennessee, as the Purple People Pusher departs west for its next station stop. Soon after came MCS Train 158, running with an extra long train of 5 cars. With the main line all cleared up, NEO 3 was given permission to proceed east for Lebanon. A gorgeous winter's sunset had taken shape in the background, making for a fitting farewell as I grabbed my final ever shot of 8531 in its iconic Nashville and Eastern paint. With final exams out of the way, I returned home from Knoxville to find a whole new railroad. Well, at least what felt like a new railroad, as NE01 departs Lebanon. The Nashville and Eastern received some new toys during the year 2023 in the form of some used EMD SD70Ms. When RJ Corman announced it was purchasing former Norfolk Southern SD70s, many wondered if the N&E would receive a pair for service on the Rock train. Fast forward to December, and the SD70s have finally been placed into revenue service, replacing the aging SD40-2s that formerly ran the train for the last year or so. Unique to the Nashville and Eastern, the railroad hosts the only other two SD70s painted in RJ Corman's commemorative 50th anniversary paint scheme. Brush trimmers had finally removed the shrubbery along Stewart's Ferry Pike, allowing for a more accessible scene as NE01 barrels through the S-curve into Donaldson. The train slowly arrives at Rogers Group in Nashville, navigating the tight curves as drivers blatantly ignore the flashing crossing lights. Rogers Group has long cemented itself as Middle Tennessee's premier provider of stone and aggregate products, and the Nashville and Eastern plays a vital role in that success. On average, each hopper car can hold 100 tons of crushed stone, and the trains that run from the mine to Nashville typically consist of 40 cars, carrying nearly 4,000 tons of rock in a single trip. The stone is mostly used in the construction of roads and highways, and some of Rogers' most notable projects including Briley Parkway, Vietnam Veterans Boulevard, and the rehabilitation of the Natchez Trace Parkway in southern Tennessee. Later that morning, NEO2 was sent out to meet NEO3 in Martha, swapping their trains there instead of making the usual trip into Nashville. The crew would only have one pickup to make at Kenwall, grabbing a single covered coil car to add to their train. At Stewart's Ferry Pike, I took advantage of the downed shrubbery, inching further east to get a full view of the S-curve. The crew had grabbed 2 more GEs from NEO3 and Martha, and the matching set of Dash 8s couldn't have looked any better as they throttled up into Donaldson. Arriving into Nashville, the crew rolls into Southern Junction with 20 cars in tow, all of which are bound for the CSX interchange at Vine Hill. Behind the 2 B40-8s is a pair of B39-8Es, numbers 8572 and 8585. RJ Corman had recently reassigned these units to the N&E's smaller sister railroad, the Nashville and Eastern, a 20-mile short line running to the northwest of Nashville. In their place, 2 B20-8s will be swapped over to the N&E for RJ Corman to repaint into the corporate paint scheme. The N&E's Nashville Yard once played a vital role during the days of the Tennessee Central. The yard was even considered the TC's main terminal point, hosting an on-site car repair shop, a turntable, warehouse, mechanic's office, and more. The yard used to be a bustling place on the Tennessee Central, and locomotives could be seen scattered all across the yard. While the yard today is nowhere near the size of what it was in its olden days, its purpose continues to remain strong, serving as the Nashville and Eastern's main yard for sorting and storing rail cars. Before running to the interchange, I decided to check out this small tunnel going under CSX's Nashville terminal. With the shorter days of winter, evening sunlight was quickly dwindling fast, making this the perfect ending to our day on the Nashville and Eastern. "2024 started the same way we ended it, as NEO2 works the Vine Hill interchange in Nashville. It's a cold, gray January morning, and CSX had stopped by the night before bearing 2 late Christmas gifts for the N&E, a pair of B-20-8s courtesy of the Nashville and Western. The -8s are the last 2 remaining locomotives to be repainted by RJ Corman, thus marking the official end of the N&E's painted units. The 5940 looks as if it had just returned from Cali, as some vandals mistook the engine for a blank canvas. It was shaping up to be another long day for the crew of NEO2, being forced to make 3 trips over to Vine Hill, one more than the usual. Carload traffic seems to have picked up on the N&E, as the long train slowly winds through the S-curve towards the busy Nolensville Pike. The crew would temporarily shove the entire train onto New Main, before running back into the yard to grab another set of outbound cars to take over Divine Hill. Once clear of the switch, the conductor realigns the turnout for NE01's passage into the Rogers Group facility. Today's rock train is led by the railroad's other SD70M, 2596, which also sports the commemorative 50th anniversary paint scheme. The Nashville and Eastern's rock operations are the bread and butter of the railroad, hauling hundreds and thousands of rock tonnage yearly, from the mine in Carthage to the facility in Nashville. 40 cars of crushed stone makes up today's train, a process that will continue to repeat itself every other day, weekly. As the rock train cleared into Nashville, I went on a small hike to find a new location near Milepost 9 in Donaldson. NE03 was on its way west to work Stones River Yard, giving me ample time to discover this small ridge overlooking this phenomenal curve shot. After grabbing 14 more cars at Stones River, engineer Dale Berman puts the old horses to work as they slowly notch up to track speed. Shades of the fallen Milwaukee Road can still be seen around the N&E, utilized by the waste management site here in East Nashville. The boxcars are loaded with recycled cardboard, likely to be shipped to a processing facility that will remove contaminants, de-ink, and restore the cardboard to be reused once more. Arriving into Nashville, NE03 cuts their engines away from the train to grab their eastbound cut waiting for them in the yard. While doing that, NE02 creeps up to the coupler of the newly delivered train, ready to drag it into the yard to be sorted and taken to Vine Hill. With NE02 clear out of the way, NE03 can proceed east out of the yard, with the former green and yellow number 8531 leading up front. A single coil car separates the head-end power from the Nashville and Eastern -8s as they take one final tour of the railroad before being repainted. We'd grab one final shot of NE03 in Donaldson, as Dale fights to bring the heavy train up the 1.06% grade into town. Before making my return to Knoxville for the spring, I had one final opportunity to see the Nashville and Eastern. White snow had coated the ground while I was away in London, as much of it finally began to melt away in the warm rays of the sun. NE03 had just finished their work at Kenwall and was to have a straight shot journey into Nashville. Leading today's train was none other than the 5938, and at the time of this recording, was the very last painted Nashville and Eastern locomotive to remain on the roster, truly marking the end of an era. And with that, the new era of the Nashville and Eastern begins. Thanks for joining me in today's video, and be sure to check out the channel for more unique railroad content, including short lines like the Nashville and Eastern. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.